Hello, good evening. Luciano, who was speaking from the Brazilian accent improvisation. Today I'm gonna talk about the improvisation in choro. That's kind of different of the jazz improvisation, and I have chosen a theme from the great composer Jacob do Bandolim. It's like Mandolin's Jacob, his name, to show how improvised choro works in traditional choro. Okay, um, let me play for you first, and after that I'm going to make some considerations about this improvise. Okay. If you already know this composition that's called assanhado, you're gonna realize that I did some different harmonies. These harmonies I learned from another musicians that played at the we call here night play in the night scene. I don't know how to say this, but I have run some interesting story about this kind of improvising choro, because the place you find some choro players is called roda de choro. It's a circle. It's roda. It's kind of circle that people meet each other to play, and sometimes you have a leader that is the most important musician, and he owns. He's like the owner of this roda, and once I have played in a roda de choro with a lot of instruments, and the owner of the roda, or the circle of choro music, was a very generous person, and he was always very interested in new people playing and discovering the choro, and he was the he was always worried to help choro meet another more and more interested in instrumentalists. Okay, and my I once I went to this roda, and he asked me what theme I would like to play, and I played a choro song of Chiquinha Gonzaga, and it's common to a jazz player to and bossa nova a player to improvise after playing the theme, and when the theme ended, I started improvising. The owner of the roda was smiling to me, and something strange happened after I got out of the roda, because there was one musician that came to me and said, "You're gonna have you have to understand that choro is not what are you thinking." And it sounded strange to me. I agreed with him, but I said something about the piano comping that was not the best. I was not comping in the best way, because choro, in a roda de choro, we are gonna have a 7-string guitar, acoustic guitar, and cavaquinho. That's like and for you don't know, it seems like a ukulele, okay? And that day they had also accordion, and there was a lot of harmonic instruments, and I thought the problem was that I wasn't harmonizing in the right way, the way choro works, and I told him, I'm not harmonizing in the piano, because sometimes in the piano it will sound good if you play so high, it's higher octaves, because it's a place free from the other frequencies that are playing together with. Okay, then I told this, maybe this I'm trying to study, but he insisted and saying me, choro is not what are you thinking about. Alright, years and years passed away, and reading about choro language and trying to understand more and more, I understand one thing I didn't know. I was committing a great sin, because in choro the musicians just improvise when the owner of the roda or the circle starts to improvise, and he is like a leader. He's like a person who says the next one who is going to improvise. I was improvising and not respecting the tradition, and they improvise they play 10 songs, they improvise in one or two, okay? It's not common to make solos. Their improvisation comes from the melody. The improvisation of choro, it's like a variation in the melody, not a solo with new notes that one knows what's gonna happen. No, I'm changing the details of the melody and returning always to the melody, showing the other musicians where am I. Other interesting thing that happened this last day I played with in the roda was that after my solos, the next musician that's going to play in his time or his or her time was lost. And I thought it's strange because when we play together with another musicians, we play a solo and everybody knows where are we. They know that once one solo finishes, it's his or her time to play. And people were lost, and I felt, wow, it's funny. But I didn't understand because for me, improvise was a very common practice in all kinds of music. I knew that pop music didn't do this kind of improvise, but choro, it's a free Brazilian music, but no. And it's interesting that people that play choro, they often just study choro. Their whole repertoire is based on choro themes, and then they don't have the tradition to improvise in this context. Then all they see it's related to choro. Choro has a lot of styles. It's a complete genre, and if you try to learn it, we're gonna realize that there are lots and lots of themes. And here in Brazil, we have incredible musicians that plays hundreds of themes or thousands of themes, and they are so complex. They aren't simple melodies with just one part. Generally, they have 3 parts. These short songs, and the melodies are complexes and no, not with few notes like bossa nova, for example. But the thing is, I realized that I was doing all wrong. I was improvising. I didn't wait for my time, or I didn't wait to be called, and I was improvising. Looking for the past, now it's clear to me because when I started to improvise, one of the musicians in the roda got out of it, and I didn't understand why, because I know the song, I'm playing correctly, and I'm not doing anything out of this, but they are not familiar with improvising, or they are not familiar with improvising in no songs, the whole form. Often they improvise in the last part of choro. Choro often has 3 parts. They improvise in the C part. Okay, C section. Today I'm gonna. I told you this story because I would like to show how we would think in this song, this assanhado. that I played before. Like what kind of improvise would do a choro player? We call here in chorão the choro player. What would he or she think when he's improvising this thing? First of all, I would say that it's a choro sambado. Choro sambado, it's like a choro mixture with samba. And the thing that changes, the great difference between the choro sambado and the normal a chorinho or another genre of choro, style of choro, is the division of the melody. Chorinho often use semiquavers or 16 notes, and choro sambado often use syncopations in its melody. Okay, that's why this melody sounds like that. Sorry, let me do it again. Note that the melody is it's always spaced. It's not a melody with a lot of notes that's common in the choro. I'm sorry. It's a very large melody with space, okay? And the way a choro player improvises in this melody, the common way they improvise, it's changing some notes and return to the original melody, okay? Let me show you for some examples. For just playing the right hand to you realize the original melody and some changes. This phrase happens twice in the song. For example, the second phrase, besides repeating it in the same way, let me do the melody again with other improvise, okay? I'm gonna do using the comping. I hope the connection returned to you, and I'm trying to continue. Sorry for the connection problems. I hope you're still here. And if you paid attention in the original melody and pay attention what I was playing now, you're gonna realize that I was always playing the same melody, and but with different details, okay? And these details make this melody sound so fresh, because if for who knows the song, it will sound some good news. You are hearing the song, you know, but you'll be impacted with new ideas of how to explore this melody. I think the resource, it's very available. It's very important in Brazilian music, because the years of improvisation we say in Brazilian music till the 60s, it's this kind of improvisation. Then musicians were able to do with this kind of variation with a lot of mastery, okay? For example, I have one interesting story about Jacob do Bandolim, that is the composer of this song, that when he recorded his discs, he always went to a studio with his musicians, recorded with them, together, but in a room separately. And he returned home and study with the recording together, and study a lot to make the melody sound more interesting. He could do it and return to the studio days or weeks after this first recording of the rest of the group, and did his part. They were very precious in the treatment of the melody. Then if you come to Brazil and play with choro players, choro musicians, I know that it's a choro club in a lot of countries, in Vienna, in the United States, in Portugal, I knew about a choro club in Melbourne now, and be prepared to play the original melodies with your own variations. This will sound very interesting for them. This is what they think it's important. Okay, and how to study this kind of variation I did. First thing, memorize the original melody. You have to know the original notes, okay? And don't try to improvise when you still didn't master the original melody. After that, try to hear what is predictable and use this predictability to make variations, to create surprise for your audience. I have some very interesting example in the world of jazz. That was the recording of Stefano Bolanis in Tico Tico no Fubá, because he realized that Tico Tico was a very famous, world famous song, and he transformed. He did a lot of different variations, transpositions. He went so far from the original composition because he knew that everybody knows the song. Going to a choro music context, you won't be able to improvise like him, but you will be in a place where everybody knows the original melody, and the art of doing the improvising choro will be the variations will be to show how good you can play the original melody, but how can you surprise your audience going a little out of these melodies. Okay, then study always the original melody, and after try to create your new resolutions for the phrasing. For example, if I took this first phrase, for example, I can this phrase repeats twice. Then the second time I'm gonna change something. Not it didn't sound good. Then I'm going to repeat. Or different, for example, with a different end. Or with a different preparing. Or with a different middle. Oh, I have to search for another end. Prepare the last note. Didn't sound good. For example. Just searching some phrase out of my comfort zone. Note that I had to search. It didn't sound okay for you. It sounds strange, but I'm going out of my comfortable zone, and I think you have to search, because when you search out of it, you can do things you never imagined to do, and this can be very interesting for your audience. Okay, then learn the choro first, and second, try to find predictable places, predictable endings of phrases or starts, and start to change them, to search for new phrases. And you can do this searching, researching, and when I say research, it's to search things like I was searching now, or doing an improvised way. These two are different ways of finding new ideas. One, it's the idea of you have in that time just one chance, and the other, you can search for more complex ideas. Then I think it's important to study improvising and searching also. Okay, that was it. Thank you for watching this live, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Luciano Ruas from the Brazilian Accent Improvisation.